That's about 7 miles north of Atlanta. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can trail this system for you. It's right there, 7 miles north of Atlanta. That looks like a substantial storm system right there that we have in our path this morning, this afternoon. The winds inside this storm are going to end up being overwhelmingly high as they track towards the east. We're going to go ahead and put a storm track on this for you and give you an idea of about where it's going to be next, so you can go ahead and take the appropriate action as this storm gets closer to you. Again, if you are in the path of this storm, you need to go ahead and take cover immediately. This is a dangerous storm and is moving rapidly towards the east. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit more here for you as we track this particular area of severe weather. Okay, so there we go, about 55 miles per hour due east. So some of the additional cities that are going to be next, Jonesville, 1:05 p.m., Walker Creek, 1:30, Jefferson, 1:42. It looks like it's going to be in Magnolia about 1:50. All right, this is a dangerous storm. It is producing some dangerous winds at the present time. In fact, what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn the warnings off just so we can show you what it looks like as far as the speed and the velocity inside this storm. Some of the wind speeds coming upwards of 62 miles per hour. We're looking at 68. The winds inbound are going probably about 40. So we're looking at a really strong, powerful storm, potentially deadly tornado. Again, this is a tornado warning that we are looking at right now. A tornado warning has been issued for these following counties and parishes: Lafayette and Miller in Arkansas, Bossier and Caddo, as well as Bowie and Cass in Texas. This goes to 1:15 this afternoon. This is a tornado-producing storm located near Queen City, or 7 miles north of Atlanta. It's moving east at 55. So we're going to put another track on this for you. And before we do that, I want to go ahead and zoom back in a little bit. And there you can see the town of Cass. And it's in the path of this deadly storm. Again, this may very well be a tornado. It is tracking east. These are really strong winds that we are looking at now. We're talking about the winds that are in the red here. These are winds that are actually moving towards the northwest rapidly. In the green, we have winds that are moving towards the south and southeast rapidly. So you've got this rotation going on. In the upper levels of the atmosphere, there's a lot of dynamic. We've got some strong jet winds. We've got a front moving through that's providing us with slightly cooler air behind it. And all this warm, moist air and really unstable environment has ended up producing this storm, this potentially deadly tornado. And as it moves right there between Domino and Bloomberg, it may be already. And in fact, there have been some reports of some damage already, or at least some debris from this particular storm, which again could be a tornado. I'm looking at some more information. Lafayette County spotters on South End are active. Let's see. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to zoom back in. Cass, city of Cass, right around Highway 230. It looks like 237. You need to take cover immediately. This storm is moving towards your area. Fouke, Highway 71, I-49. Please take cover as this storm's moving 55 miles per hour into your county. And zooming on out a little bit, eastern parts of Cass County and western Miller will be affected by this storm here shortly. So let me put another track on it for you. And as I bring it out towards the east at around 55 miles per hour, this thing is moving quickly here. We're talking about it being in Cass, the town of Cass, in just a couple of minutes. In fact, it's already there. Jonesville by 1:07, 1:34 at Walker Creek, Magnolia by 1:51. Okay, so if you live in these towns, if you know someone who lives in these towns, they need to seek shelter, get somewhere safe. If they have a basement, if you have a sturdy building you can go to, do so immediately. because as the storm moves in with winds of upwards of 70, 80, or 90 miles per hour, even higher, we can expect definitely to see some form of damage as it tracks through these areas. Looks like now it's actually starting to enter on into Miller County and over towards areas just to the south of Fouke. And this is the area right here that we're kind of watching now. This storm originated just to the north of Atlanta, Texas, by about 7 miles. And now we're watching it as it continues its push towards the east. And we're going to see about the debris, see if we have any debris with this thing. And it looks like there may be a little bit of debris out there. Also, as far as updates, let's take a look at that. Extremely strong winds are going to be impacting I-49 just near and just north of the Louisiana-Arkansas state line very soon. Lafayette County spotters, again, folks, I'm just kind of looking through all of these updates that are coming in now from the National Weather Service. And so far, what we are seeing is what we were just talking about, the fact that this particular potential deadly tornado is passing right there along the Arkansas. Looks like the Arkansas-Louisiana line around I-49. New update. Not sure if tornado is still on the ground, but winds coming into southern Miller are near hurricane force winds. Okay, so again, this storm right now is over Miller County. It's now moving east at about 55 miles per hour. Someone is reporting from the National Weather Service, Mr. Knapp is reporting possibly hurricane force strength winds as it moves through Miller County. All right, so that's going to be over in the area of Black Diamond, I-49. You see that here on the radar right here. There's I-49. Here's Black Diamond right there. Please take cover if you live in these areas immediately. We're also looking at Bright Star, Highway 237. This too is an area that is very close to or in the same area right there where this potential deadly tornado or deadly hazard is going on. Check for some debris again. It looks like there is a little bit of debris with this thing. This looks like a monster of a tornado that we're seeing here on the radar. If this is in fact a tornado, and already we're getting the reports of the hurricane force winds, but if this is indeed a tornado, it is most likely a very large tornado. It's moving through southern Miller, heading into Lafayette here real soon. This is about I-49, I-70, or Highway 71, southern Miller County. And I'm going to put another track on this because this storm is moving so very quickly. And we're looking at it about, looks like it's probably going to be right in this general area there. So we're going to go ahead and put another track on this as it will continue to update and move through. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit more here. If you live in Miller County, if you live in Lafayette, Columbia, Union, you need to get to a sturdy building, a sturdy shelter. There's a tornado warning. There's a large storm that is possibly moving your way right now. It's in southern Miller, heading towards southern Lafayette, over towards Walker Creek, eventually out towards Emerson. And this potentially deadly tornado will be entering into areas like Walker Creek by 135, Magnolia 153, and Noxubee by about 2 o'clock. Okay, they're again projecting it out, moving towards the east at around 55 miles per hour. And I'm gonna check that speed too, and go ahead and put a check. And as you can see, it's just rapidly moving off towards the east. I mean, it is booking it. Now it looks like it's more or less moving towards the southeast is what we're seeing now. So again, it's about right there, heading towards Highway 71. It's in the central part of southern Miller County now. And if you're joining us, we're under a tornado warning. This was issued at about, this was issued shortly shortly before 1 p.m. at 12:50 p.m. And it's for Lafayette, Miller, Bossier, Caddo, Bowie, and Cass counties until 1:15. So 10 more minutes to go with this particular warning. All right, and there's the warned area right there in the center part of your screen is where we're looking at the circulation. It's really wound tight. It's heading over into the area of Black Diamond, Doddridge, along 49 and 71. If you live in Canal, Arkansas, that's going to be over there just to the east of 49. Please seek shelter. There is a substantial storm that's moving your way right now, heading towards Bradley. If you're in Bradley, look for some tornado shelter immediately. This particular storm could be quite large and may cause extensive damage to any area that it crosses paths with. So as it continues moving very fast to the east at around 55, we'll go ahead and put another track on this. And we're going to just, it's moving quickly, and it's keeping up with it as it moves is a chore, but as we do so, it's looking like it's about right there. Okay, so here's what we have. Hold on 1 second, folks. The microphone seems to be giving us problems here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Spring Hill by about 1:38, Shongaloo by about 1:50, Haynesville by about 2 o'clock. So those are some of the new updated times that we have. Okay, and one of the ham radio folks is saying that he's hearing of a tree on a house over in Omaha right now. So damage is being reported as this storm moves through. Bradley near 1:30, Spring Hill 1:38, Shongaloo by about 1:50, Haynesville by about 2 o'clock. These are the areas that are going to be impacted by this very large storm that could definitely be creating some extensive, potentially deadly damage as it races through South Arkansas, moving towards 71 and 49. It looks like it's trying to kind of reorganize around that circulation. It looks like it's dropped a little bit further to the south, right over there towards the Doddridge area. So if you live in Doddridge, that circulation appears to be right on top of you. And we're going to look at some debris, see what we can see on the debris field here. And it looks like right there around 71, down towards about 49, right there to the east of Doddridge, there seems to be some debris right there is what we're looking at, down towards Kibla on 71 and around 160. All right, and that's over in the vicinity of Canal. Canal is going to be the next area impacted by this deadly storm. So about Doddridge is what we're looking at in the Doddridge area. And I'm going to just zoom back out for you real quick and just kind of give you a perspective of what we're looking at. We've been tracking a potentially deadly tornado. There is a tornado warning right now. It was issued out towards eastern Cass County, 7 miles north of Atlanta is where it was first detected, this potential tornado. And the warning was issued for Lafayette, Miller, Bossier, Caddo, Bowie, Cass until 1:15. We've got about 7 more minutes to go on that warning. This storm moving eastbound at 55 miles per hour is rapidly moving through South Arkansas right now. And if you live in or know someone that lives in that general area of around Doddridge, They need to seek shelter. They need to take cover. We're talking Doddridge over towards Black Diamond, I-49 area. That entire area will probably see some form of damage. It could be some potentially extensive damage in some areas as it tracks through there. We're not saying it's being reported yet. What we are getting some reports are of a tree on a house in Omaha. Extremely strong winds impacting I-49 just north of the Louisiana-Arkansas state line. Now, that was at about 1 p.m., so that was as of about 10 minutes ago. So there are a couple of reports that we've seen so far. The winds look very strong with this storm. It's passing over southern Miller, heading into Lafayette. So if you live in these areas, this potentially deadly tornado is moving your direction. Doddridge is basically on the backside of this circulation now. It's heading into the area of around Canal. So we're looking at it essentially right through here. So you've got in the green, we've got winds that are going towards the radar site, and then in the red, we've got winds that are going away from the radar site. And so we can kind of get a good idea of about where this circulation is. And then we can look at that and also get a good idea of where the debris may be with this storm. So it looks like it's, again, right there around 160 east of Doddridge, kind of moving through that area now, heading towards Canal, 160 Canal and over towards Wynn, right around Wynn Road, Lafayette Road, County Road 57. These are all areas that are going to be impacted very soon if they're not already being impacted by this storm. And going back to the particulars as far as the circulation, just so we can kind of get a better understanding on where this thing is now. It looks like it's getting ready to head over into Bossier Parish, around 160, right around Lafayette. The storm heading towards Bossier Parish at this time. The winds, what we're looking at with this storm, according to radar, the winds are actually looking quite strong. So let's take a look here. Winds around 83 miles per hour, which are inbound winds. So these are some pretty powerful winds. The circulation itself looks like it might be loosening up some now, but the winds that are inbound from the north are still looking like they could potentially be strong damaging winds. So we're talking around I-49, east of I-49, Lafayette County, right there between Kibble and Canal. We still have some circulation, it appears, but definitely some very strong, very powerful winds tracking through there at around 80 to 85 miles per hour. We kind of watch that circulation go right through there. It's right there between about 49, looks like right there between 49 and, again, let me get a check on that, 49 and Canal. The name of this particular street right there, it's not giving me that. But anyway, it's right there between 49 and Kibble and Canal. That's where the circulation is now. It's heading towards Bradley, Highway 29 up in Arkansas. And let me put another track on this for you now. And we'll see where this is heading next. Again, this is rapidly moving towards the east at around 55 miles per hour. And I want to put the warning back on so we can see that. Looks like, and again, these are not exact times, but it will give you some idea of when you can expect this particular storm to impact your area. Spring Hill by 136, Shongaloo by about 150, Haynesville 157, and Tubble by about 210. And we're tracking a very hazardous situation moving through Lafayette County in South Arkansas that's now beginning to move into northern Bossier. If you live in those areas, the circulation looks to be right now basically right down into the area of Lafayette and about right around Lafayette and still kind of in that eastern vicinity of Miller County. So western parts of Lafayette, you need to be really careful. You need to seek shelter. Go to the lowest floor of your home. If you live in a two-story home, go to that bottom floor. Go to the center part of your home. Go into the basement if there's a basement. Find a sturdy shelter to be in as this storm starts to move into your neck of the woods. As it starts to push through your town, you hear the winds howling. If you live in a mobile home, you need to get to a sturdy place that will be safe during a very high wind situation such as this. And once these winds blow through, it doesn't take any time for that damage to really impact an area. And with winds of potentially 80 miles per hour, which is what we're looking at here, that can definitely really jeopardize an area where the homes might be a little bit older, maybe mobile homes. So that's why we're telling people and being adamant about looking for a sturdy place to go to, a basement, a center part of a brick home, an older house, maybe the center part of that house, a home that has a cement foundation too, is going to definitely be a little bit better area to find shelter in, especially if it's a larger house and it has a large centralized area where you can go to, because typically in the center part of the house, that's where your stronger construction tends to be. That's why we tell people to go there. If you have one of those antique bathtubs that are real sturdy, real heavy, find that tub, get into that tub, put a mattress over you and your family until this thing blows over. Okay, so I'm getting an update on this storm, and I'm just going to point out, we're looking at circulation that's about right here now in northern Bossier, southern parts of Lafayette. And I'm going to, while I'm reading this update to you, I'm just going to go ahead and put a track on this. And it looks like it's starting to kind of weaken some, but nevertheless, the winds are just still very, very strong with this storm. Okay, so I'm going to back it up, move it back here, and then we'll go about like this. Okay, right around about there. Okay, Shanglu by, again, about 150 it's still looking like, so you've got a little while. Haynesville 157, Homer by about 206. The update is, while the velocity wind presentation has calmed down slightly in recent scans, this storm still presents dangerous winds embedded in the cell and should be taken seriously. Winds up to 80 miles per hour are going to be possible. So we're still looking at, although the looks like the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, we are still looking at a thunderstorm that may produce a tornado, that may very well produce some straight line winds still. It still has that potential. So just because the storm itself is no longer a quote-unquote tornado threat, although it still looks like it could be, and of course the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. As you can see, we only have severe thunderstorm warnings out now from Cass County stretching down into northern Caddo, and from Caddo over towards Miller, southeast through Spring Hill, Webster, and Claiborne parishes, and over into Columbia County. All right, so, but still that same little area we're going to watch real carefully, because this is still a potential wind hazard. We were looking at this a moment ago as we turn off the warning so you can see the wind speeds. And again, these are not exacting wind speeds, but it's giving you a good gauge of how strong that storm is, how powerful and dangerous those winds are. They're around 70 to maybe upwards of 80 mile per hour winds. And this is in northern parts of Bossier Parish right now. This is right up there around 49 towards Ida, towards Missionary, is where these winds are located at the moment. Potentially upwards around 80 miles per hour near Missionary. And that wind and that storm is tracking towards Wardview, towards Leela, towards Arcana, and it's moving quickly. It's still just booking it very fast towards the, looks like towards the southeast now, more or less, at around 55 miles per hour. So if you live in the area of North Bossier, over towards Missionary, Ida, Wardview, Leela, down towards Plain Dealing, you need to go ahead and take cover because this storm is kind of shifting towards the east and southeast a little bit. And we're looking at still some circulation, even though that warning is not there right now, we're still looking at some circulation in this general area between Wardview and Leela. And out towards Bollinger too. So there you have right about there, still showing some of that, and that's still kind of concerning at the moment. In fact, there's a couple of areas we want to be concerned with still. Looks like might still be a hazard through here also, through southern parts of Lafayette there. So a couple little areas of circulation that definitely need to be watched really close. Hearing about power out in Fouke. So Fouke, Arkansas, right now there's some reports of power outages, and that's from ham radio operators. A little bit of good news coming out of this now. The National Weather Service has canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for Miller, Caddo, Cass, and Marion. So if you live in the areas of Miller in Arkansas, Caddo in Louisiana, Cass and Marion in Texas, the severe thunderstorm warning for that area has been allowed to expire. So let's see what warnings continue. We also have a storm report from Fouke. Train spotter reporting hail of quarter-sized at about 119 on I-49 between Fouke and Ida, Louisiana. Between Fouke and Ida. So some really large hail, some very powerful winds. Please take cover if you live in northeast Caddo, northern Bossier, as a potentially deadly storm. Still producing some circulation out here. Still seeing a little bit of circulation in a couple of spots in southern Lafayette and northern Bossier. So even though the warning has been allowed to expire, I'm just gonna continue to watch those two areas as we move through the next hour or so, because something may revamp. Because these storms do from time to time kind of pulse up. At the same time, we are seeing wind that is quite strong still, and I'm going to turn that warning off so we can see what's out there. Okay, so let's take a look at it here. So we're still looking at winds of around 77 miles per hour up there in North Caddo. All right, and so even if it's not associated with a tornado, it's still some form of either downburst or straight line winds that are going to be hazardous to any home. That can create damage, that can tear down a tree, and that tree can fall and hit a house. Some of the older homes can definitely be torn apart by some of these really strong winds. And so that's why it's still a serious situation. Although the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, severe weather continues. Another update we have is power out in the Genoa, Arkansas area. So that is typical with most storms. We end up with power outages. So that is what we would ordinarily see with some of these storms as they push on through. Right now, what we're kind of focusing on is the fact that we've got some potentially hazardous weather. Normally, power outages come even when the winds are 30 or 40 miles per hour. These winds are 70, potentially 80 miles per hour. So we kind of watch that and look at it closely because it's meaning something probably a little bit more is going on in that storm. So I'm going to zoom out here some and give us kind of a sort of a bird's eye view of everything. And you can see most of the activity has been in the northern part of the Arklatex, up there towards North Caddo, North Bossier. These are kind of the areas that we're sort of watching and focusing on. That storm has been essentially moving towards the east at around 55 miles per hour. And so we're going to just kind of watch that for you. Also, trees down on County Roads 47 and 57 in Gin City area. Nickel-sized hail has been reported there. And I'm looking for other updates. Over in Atlanta, Cass County, looks like reports of thunderstorm wind gust of 61 miles per hour. So that's kind of what we have right now. The severe thunderstorm warning is continuing. The tornado warning right now is no longer with us, but the storm is still there. It's still going to pose a problem for us, and we're going to just show you what's happening with the severe thunderstorm warning itself. It goes until 2:15. Right now it's about 12:32, so that's going to continue to take place for a bit longer. We zoom back in, and I want to show you just what's happening inside that storm, the movement of it first of all, and you can see it's booking it. Earlier they were moving about 40 to 50, then they started speeding up to around 55 miles per hour. And that's kind of where we stand right now with that storm. As it continues to roll eastward, we'll go ahead and zoom in on it for you. And we'll take another look at the velocities also. Here we go. It's over northern Bossier now, southern parts of Lafayette. There's Walker Creek. And I'm going to go ahead and put a stop on this so we can actually watch that storm and kind of scan it also. So we'll go ahead and stop that storm and put some velocities on it too. Some larger hail may accompany this storm. So as it's moving through North Bossier, North Caddo, northern parts of Webster Parish, just know there might be some large hail, some wind, and this wind that we're seeing right there, northwest Bossier Parish, right through this particular area, northeast Caddo, could be some very strong winds upwards of around 70, 80 miles per hour, moving towards the northern part of Plain Dealing now. And we zoom in a little bit more. We already have the zoom on that, so let's go ahead and zoom just a tad bit more and show you what else. Bring that zoom in. There we go. Okay, so we're talking about right there around Highway 3, all the way up to the Arkansas line. You have the stronger winds right through North Bossier, heading over towards Spring Hill, towards 157. If you live around 157 and about Highway, right there about the area of Plain Dealing Highway 2 vicinity, that wind could be a straight line wind that we're looking at here, and that upwards of 75, 80 miles per hour can definitely create some damage out there. So you need to be careful. If you live around a bunch of old trees, if you live in an older home near some older trees, just look for a safe place. If the kids have helmets from sports, football helmets, baseball helmets, and the winds are going crazy, it might be a good idea if they just put on the helmets in case there's debris falling from trees or from the home. That would keep them a little bit safer. It's always good to have some protection on your head when there's a major storm rolling through the area. The winds that we tracked on this cluster of wind right here in northeast Caddo and northwest Bossier was right there around 50 to 70 miles per hour, maybe as high as 80. So as it starts to move over areas north of Plain Dealing around Highway 3, and then right there around Highway 157, north of Plain Dealing, it's this area that's going to end up encountering these storms next. And I'm going to move out of the way here real quick, just to show you one other little spot. Right there around the Red River, we've got a cluster of wind that's starting to move over Highway 2 there and towards Plain Dealing. So right there about Highway 2 in the vicinity of the Red River and Plain Dealing, it's extremely windy and could be extremely dangerous this afternoon as this storm moves through those particular areas. Okay, the updates that we have right now, somebody was asking about the tornado warning. Has the tornado warning been canceled? And it appears that it actually expired at about, it looks like it actually expired at about 1:15. And let's see, what else do we have here? Severe thunderstorm warning for Cass County has been canceled. Getting that now. I want to just zoom back out on this storm. So the Cass County severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to be canceled. The severe thunderstorm warning for the severe thunderstorm warning that continues for parts of southern Lafayette, northern Caddo, and Bossier, and Webster, and Columbia. It looks like that continues until 2:15. So that one's going for another 45 minutes. 2.5-inch hail reported, radar indicated for Columbia, Lafayette, Miller, Bossier, Caddo, Claiborne, and Webster parishes. And again, that's until 2:15. The Weather Service just responded about the tornado warning. It was allowed to expire at 1:15. So that's been about 15 minutes ago. So I continue to update you on what's happening with the particular storm, these very powerful winds associated with that storm as it starts to drop south into North Bossier now. These winds are starting to kind of encounter areas right there north of Plain Dilling, right there around Highway 3, Highway 2 is what we're seeing now. And I want to just kind of put this into motion for you. It went over the Red River, that little area of wind just a little bit ago, around 118, and continued from there towards the town of Plain Dealing, Highway 3, Collinsburg area. It's heading towards Mott next, and Carterville. Spring Hill, Porterville, Sarepta, you folks are next. And let's check and see if there's just any debris up in those areas. Seeing maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit of debris right there, it appears. Right up there in North Bossier, which tells us there's could be some really strong winds. This could have been a very powerful tornado earlier before it expired. We don't know that for sure. We're still waiting to get additional information. Our information is still very new. And I'm just looking at some additional updates. Seeing what else we have. No other talk of issuing another tornado warning. What we are seeing right now is just some storm reports that are coming out. With this particular storm, we put it in motion here for you, and I'm going to slow down the speed of it so you can see it a little bit easier. There we go. Okay, so it was moving through Atlanta, Texas, Falk, Arkansas a little bit earlier. Started moving less east and more southeast, rotating, potentially producing a deadly tornado. And we were getting reports of some damage, a tree on top of a home, power outages, and we were getting some reports like that. Right now, it looks like we are still dealing with North Bossier, kind of under the gun with the wind. No other tornado warning, but we are still pursuing this severe thunderstorm warning until 2:15 today. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop motion on that, and we're going to check out let's check out the hail first and show you what we have on that. And it looks like there could definitely be up into Plain Dealing some really large hail with this thing. So I'm going to drop the warnings again here, and we'll look up the info on the hail. And it looks like north of Plain Dealing up towards Carterville, we could be looking at maybe 2-inch hail, 1.5, 2 inch in diameter. So we're talking maybe $50 to maybe golf ball sized hail. And that's up and down Highway 157 from Plain Dealing to Carterville, and getting close now to Spring Hill, Porterville, and Sarepta. All right, so that's a cluster of storms moving through these areas. Now then, as far as any additional threats, right now, all we can tell you at the moment is that this storm is producing some larger hail, frequent lightning, and it could still be producing some hazardous winds right over Highway 3. Highway 2, mainly north of Plain Dealing on Highway 3 right now between Bollinger and Leela. Over towards 157 Carterville. That wind's going to be striking your area here very soon. The warning continues until 2:15. The winds that we're watching with this severe thunderstorm warning anywhere from 75 to maybe as high as 80 miles per hour in the vicinity of Bollinger. Now, we don't have anything confirmed on these winds or the possible damage they may be that may be resulting from that higher wind speed. But we'll just continue to update you on this situation. Again, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire as of about 15 minutes ago. The winds still continue to be a problem in North Bossier, North Webster, moving through these areas. Probably at about 40 to 50 miles per hour now, heading towards Highway 2 and Highway 157 right up there in North Bossier at the moment. So be really careful if you live in these areas. Look for some sturdier shelter. Just know this is a very hazardous storm. It's producing some larger hail. And again, looks like there might be some additional circulation trying to get going now just to the north of Plain Dealing. Not saying that there's actual circulation, but there seems to be another little anomaly beginning to form around Highway 157 just to the east of Highway 3. And I'm going to put a track on this little thing real quick and see if we can get an idea of where it's going to be heading to next. Boy, it looks like it must still be moving at about 55 miles per hour. I'll try that one more time here. Going back. It is right up there towards about an hour ago. The track on this storm, I mean, the speed that it's been moving this whole time is just amazing. And the path that it took it went from pretty much almost east to southeast, and then it really started to dive south into a northeast Caddo and into Bossier. It's looking like it's still going to be right there at around 55, maybe 60 mile per hour. That's how fast it's moving. It looks like in that same general area. Stretched out a little bit further now. We're talking from Wardview towards Leela, north of Plain Dealing, Carterville, out towards Mott. Stronger winds in these particular areas. Circulation looks like it's trying to get going again just north of Plain Dealing into the Carterville, Leela areas. We've got, of course, the winds that are probably anywhere from 60 to maybe 75 miles per hour. But there might be another little anomaly trying to start up again right there around 157, and then maybe north of 157, north of Carterville. There appears to be some kind of anomaly here too. Now then, we were telling you earlier about how these storms tend to pulse, and so it looks like they might be getting just a tad bit stronger right now as they track eastbound through areas north of, in the northern Bossier Parish area, north of Plain Dealing, right up there towards Leela, up towards Carterville. And a lot of folks right now are probably wondering, well, you know, what's going on elsewhere? Well, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have here. We've got what looks like some additional, probably just really gusty winds right now, right up there north of Columbia, north of 160 up in South Arkansas. I'm going to throw the radar back down for you. And just to reiterate, we're looking at these storms primarily right up there from around Cass, up in Miller, Lafayette, Columbia, Webster,
Bossier Parish, and the track went from essentially easterly, now more or less southeasterly, through North Bossier, through northern Webster Parish. And I'll go ahead and put a track on that now, so we can kind of gauge where this one's going to. Okay, so roughly about, that's what we're looking at essentially. So if you live in Cotton Valley, by about 1:45, this storm is going to be on top of you. There is the potential hazard for damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour, maybe as high as 80 miles per hour. In Minden, we've got storms pushing through there by about 2:05, 2:07, Arcadia by 2:19, and Ruston by about 2:31. Now, like we've been saying, these are not exact times that we're looking at, but still, it'll give you a better idea of how to spend your time preparing for the storm to engage your area. A ton of lightning, obviously, the hail. As these systems pulse up and down, the hail core will drop. As it pulses back up, the hail core will build. And it looks like right now that this particular hail core is probably going to be anywhere from maybe 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter that we're looking at. And that could cause some extensive damage to homes, to cars, to other vehicles too. We're looking at about 2-inch in diameter hail being the potential threat with that storm. So far it has a history, not a confirmed history, but from what we've seen so far, producing an unconfirmed tornado, large unconfirmed tornado, an area of debris up towards Miller and Lafayette counties a little bit earlier, and also some damage to a home with a tree landing on the roof of a home a little earlier, and of course some power outages too. So these are the reports that we've gotten so far. We look at those reports. We also see what we have on the radar. We also look at the hail core, the lightning, the wind especially, and those reports, and take all that into consideration in determining what may be going on out there. Now, again, north of Plain Dealing, the winds are still kind of circulating in that general area. And okay, folks, we're getting off of KTBS right now. We're going to be heading to our other platforms, including KPXJ, CW21. You can find us on every other channel, but we are going back to regular scheduled programming on KTBS 3 right now. So stick around, stay here. We will continue updating you throughout the afternoon.